Hello and welcome to Inside Homebrewing. I'm Jay Thomas. And this is a coat busser I brewed up a while back. It's a kind of a forgotten style of German ale. It has, they don't make it anymore, I don't believe, because it doesn't pass the purity law. Because it has, what does it have? It was, oh yeah, oats, wheat, which are pretty much kind of no-nos, I guess, and also it got molasses. I used treacle instead of molasses and honey in it, but it's really good. Nice clear beer. Came out wonderful. It's definitely a winner. Anyway, today's project, what we're doing is going to be reviewing the MRbrew CO2 regulator. Pretty easy deal to do. We're going to check out the MRbrew CO2 regulator. Today I'm going to just hook it up and to a CO2 bottle, and we're going to do a pressure transfer of my Maibock into a secondary container for extended lagering. So we'll get this opened up and see what MRbrew's got going on here. It's opened up here. Let's see what we got. Oh yeah. It was comparably priced to what I have. Mine that I have now does not have the release here. Mine has a check valve on it, but it does not have the dial. We'll see how that dial works. So for the pressure transfer, you know, it's going to be hard on these gauges to see. You know, we're going to be looking at I want about 1 pound, pound and a half, 2 pounds. But we'll see if we can get this pressure regulator to read what our poundage is, and we're just going to be pushing the beer with about 1.5 pounds, maybe 2 pounds. It's going to be. We'll see if we can read what it says. We just want to gently push the beer out of the. I'm going to push the beer out of the container through the top here. It's going to come out the bottom and into a secondary container. We'll get going on that here in just a few minutes. So the plan is I got the regular beer line. What I did is I reduced the size of the beer line, or the gas line, to a regular on a thick-walled beer line, so I could put this end piece on here for a quick coupler to hook up to for the pressure transfer. I'll show you how that works, and then it hooks up into the into my kegerator out in the garage, my my beer fridge. It's a quick connect, and it makes life a lot easier when using the same CO2 tank for several different applications. Anyway, I'm going to get this hooked up to the tank, and we'll get going on that. So it came with 2 seals for the tank. I took one off, but I like this. It's got I don't know if they can see that, but it's a teeny little screen inside there. Nice little feature. I've never seen that before. It may be a common thing, I don't know, but the ones I bought before this didn't have that, so I like it. Okay. So I got it hooked up. I'll get this next. Okay, so I got it all hooked up. This is on. I got it. Has pressure in my tank. It's at about 2 pounds now. I'm going to check for leaks. I'll crank it up a little bit. Got it at 8 pounds about. Kind of like this feature here. Turn it on. Now the way this works, this coupler It's not letting any CO2 out now, but I got the other end here and some hose that'll go into the that I use to push the beer out of the Spidell fermenter. So anyway, so it doesn't leak. It isn't letting any CO2 out here until you hook it up. So we got CO2 coming out of there now. I don't know or care if this part here leaks, because I only use it for a little while. But what I do care about is this half leaking, and my reducer, my little jury-rigged reducer here. I need to make sure that doesn't leak, so I'm not just wasting CO2 when I hook it up to the outside into the garage to the kegerator. We'll check for leaks right now. Okay, so I got it all hooked up. This is on. I got it. Has pressure in my tank. It's at about 2 pounds now. I'm going to check for leaks. I'll crank it up a little bit. Got it at 8 pounds about. Kind of like this feature here. Turn it on. Now the way this works, this coupler, it's not letting any CO2 out now, but I got the other end here and some hose that'll go into the that I use to push the beer out of the Spidell fermenter. So anyway, so it doesn't leak. It isn't letting any CO2 out here until you hook it up. So we got CO2 coming out of there now. I don't know or care if this part here leaks, because I only use it for a little while. But what I do care about is this half leaking, and my reducer, my little jury-rigged reducer here. I need to make sure that doesn't leak, so I'm not just wasting CO2 when I hook it up to the outside into the garage to the kegerator. We'll check for leaks right now. So I'm going to try to dial in, turn this way down, release the pressure. I'm going to try to dial in what seems like a oh, too much. And then it's too low. There we go. I'm going to try to dial in about 1.5 pounds. I'll turn this down a little. That's way too much. And that's too low. That's probably about right there. The gauge doesn't move, but there's a little bit of pressure. Not much. I might want some more. I'll add a That seems pretty good right there. I don't know if you can hear that. The gauge doesn't move. I think it's just so less of pressure that I don't know if any gauge is gonna show that. Anyway, we're gonna roll with this. Yeah, I'm liking this much pressure. This is about on my old tank, or my old regulator. It was about the same. I just had to go by feel and by what it sounded like. So I'll get this shut off now, and I'm ready to transfer that beer. Leave it sit here for a second. Yeah, it moved barely off the 0. That's maybe not even a half a pound of pressure. So we're going to go with that and transfer over this Maibach. So I'll take a mental note to self for next time. Purge, purge the secondary container with CO2 before you dial in the pressure. I could just go back and redo it, but I'm not in a hurry. So we're just slowly filling this up with CO2 right now. I don't know how long it's going to take, so I'll just leave it on there for a minute or so to get the air out of there, and then it's going to get hooked up to the top of here to push the beer out the bottom. It looks like we're good to go with where the spout is and where the level of yeast and trobe on the bottom is. So everything should be good. I'm going to take a sample of the Maibach. This one's going to the NHC, the National Homebrew Competition. So we don't want to mess it up. We're just going to slowly push it out of here into secondary and let it lager for a long time. Alright, I got this all set up. We'll get this beer transferred. Turn on the little dial. There we go, pressure. A little yeast coming out of there. Shut that off. Just clear beer running. Whoops, spilled a little. Here we go. Oops. Oh boy. Anyway. There we go. Turn this down a little bit. Just a slow transfer going there. So the gauge is showing about maybe a pound of pressure or so. It's pushing the beer out. Turn this up a little bit more. I don't know if it's open or closed. There we go. There, it's going a little faster now. So the good thing about pressure transferring is there's no, even though there's bubbles in there, that's not air, it's just CO2 that got pushed through. So all should be good. I like the color of my Maibach. I home smoked some honey malt that I got. We'll check this out. Home smoked is like 18 ounces. I don't remember. 18 ounces or so of honey malt I put in there. I got the honey malt for free from at the Great American Beer Fest from the manufacturer. Was giving away samples, so yeah, I didn't know what to do with it, so I thought, hey, I'm gonna make a Maibach and home smoke some honey malt. So here we go. So far this is working good. The pressure gauge is showing about just a pound maybe. Just a slow push. Open this up a little more. Speed things along. Yeah, here we go. Maybe not so fast. Just a little bit less. There we go. I liking that. And take a test of my Maibach. So that's a done deal. I got that all transferred. The regulator did what it should. So I'm going to hook up the little tank to my my kegerator outside, and we'll see how it. It's only going to be at like 8 pounds pushing beer out of there. We'll get this all put away and have another beer. So here's the tank and regulator that I'm using now. It was at about 8 pounds. So here we go. We'll hook this one up. So now I got the small tank hooked up. It's now at just 4 pounds, whatever. And I'll crank it up. I'm going to release the pressure on here. I got this one shut off. This one has no pressure going to it. So I have this one, has pressure on. I'll release the pressure. So we're starting all brand new. That is the Surely Shunned Coat Busser. Is what I got hooked up to this small tank now with the MRbrew. Okay, we're gonna give it the get it up to about, oh, that was a little too much. Turn it down to about 8 pounds. Here we go. It's showing 8 pounds now. We'll blow this off. And see where it stabilizes. It went a little higher. Turn it down a little bit more. Blow it off. It's kind of nice to have that little release valve on the outside, so I don't have to keep reaching in the kegerator and releasing the pressure from inside. So we're close. We're about, yeah, almost 8 pounds. We're going to call that good. It's got enough actual pressure. I don't know what that says. It's I don't know, but we're good to go. We're gonna go with this. We're gonna push our beer, the rest of this coat busser, with this. We're at near 8 pounds, just under 8 pounds of pressure. Release this again. Okay, that's about almost empty. We'll turn this valve on. I like this valve. Turn that on. There we go. I can hear it running into the coat buzzer right now. We'll let everything stabilize. The pressure here dropped. We'll see what it stabilizes at here in a minute. So let's pour a brand new beer and see where we're at. Oh yeah. Yeah. Working good. 8 pounds. Might be a little bit of a aggressive pour. I'll drop it back to 6 pounds and I'll just leave it like that, and we'll check on this again when we when I go to carbonate another beer, and I'm going to crank it up and force carbonate the next beer that I keg. Yeah, the MRbrew regulator works good so far. Oh yeah. So we're testing out the MRbrew CO2 regulator, and anyway, I'm kind of having some problems. We're gonna check this out, see if we can't figure this out and get this dialed in. But anyway, I got some sanitizer running through the keg right now. I got it at I want it at 8 pounds of pressure. So we're at about just under 8 pounds of pressure. I can't get it to dial in correctly right now for 8 pounds of pressure. I have, this valve is wide open. Got this. Turn this up a little bit. There it's, now it's moving. That's about 8 pounds there. Okay, I'm just running some Star Sand through here. I had everything taken apart, cleaned, put back together, running some Star Sand through the keg now. Trying to make this at a consistent 8 pounds of pressure, no matter if I'm pushing beer out of it or if it's just sitting there under pressure. See, now it's starting to climb a little bit, maybe. I don't understand. We'll see if we can't figure this out. So that's still running through. The pressure is gaining for some reason. We'll back that down. Can hear it chugging through the system. I do like this. We'll see if we can't get that dialed in for a consistent 8 pounds. We'll see what happens when it's shut off now for a minute or two. It's at about 8 pounds right now. See if it maintains that. So it's been sitting a couple minutes. It's still at 8 pounds. I just filled this up. I did find a leak in it and since fixed that. But anyway, it was in my hose. Anyway, we're at 8 pounds. I usually run my beer at 8 pounds out of the tap. Okay, there we go. All the sanitizer is done. It dropped a little bit, which is, I'm not surprised. Shut that off. See if this goes back up to 8 pounds. I can hear CO2 running through there, filling up and pressurizing that tank. I'll hit the release valve. See where it comes back up to. We'll give that a minute, see if it maintains. I don't know. And now I still hear more CO2 running through the system. It's frozen up. There's frost on here. It's at right about 8 now. We'll give that a few minutes and come back. I'm going to shut off the system and fill this keg. I got a valve here, I can just shut that off. That's still pushing 8 pounds into that pipe. Then I'll take off the keg. I'll pull out the keg and fill that with beer. Then what I'm going to do is crank it up. Now it's up to about 10 pounds. Yeah. I don't know about this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill up the keg to and then just carbonate it at about 30 pounds. Give it a kind of a high pressure test on this MRbrew CO2 regulator. Anyway, we're going to test this out. So far, I don't know how to maintain a steady pressure. It doesn't work like my other one. So we'll get this we'll get this Star Sand out of here and put some beer in there and go from there. See, now the gauge has jumped up to above 10 pounds. I don't know. I would like to have my beer steadily pouring out at like 8 pounds, was what has been working for me.
We'll get this carbonated at 30 pounds. We'll leave it there for a day and just fine tune the carbonation and go from there and try to push it out consistently at about 8 pounds. I don't know. We'll see what happens. So I got this hooked back up. Got the beer in there. It's ready to rock. So I would like to be able to walk away from it and maintain a constant pressure. Let's back up to 10. Now it's at 0. It's turned on. Oh boy. So, okay, we'll turn this up. Okay, now I have pressure running into the keg. This is on. It's as on as it can go. It's going to fall off. Okay. Turn this to plus. There, it's showing 8 pounds. If I can maintain, well, let's back it off. Okay, 8 pounds. It should be filling that tank right now. 8 pounds of pressure in the tank and throughout the lines. Okay, we're going to come back in a little while after I eat dinner, and it's creeping up now. So we'll back this off. Pull the plunger. It jumps back up to over 8 pounds. Back it off. Pull the plunger, over 8 pounds, back it off. Pull the plunger. I want it right there at 8 pounds. Pull the plunger, bring it back up. There we go, we're at 8 pounds, it stopped. Now if it can maintain that, 8 pounds, while I go eat dinner and come back in half hour or so, we might be on to something. We'll see what it says. I'll just, I don't know if upside down or right side up, or so we're going to set this up. It doesn't want to stay up on its own. It's too heavy for this small tank. So we're at 8 pounds of pressure upright. We'll see in 30. So it's been over an hour. It has stabilized at, well, it dropped a little bit. I left it alone, and now it's at about 6 pounds of pressure. I don't know why it's not holding the pressure where you leave it at. So, gently set that down. I'm going to crank it up. It doesn't seem to hold the pressure where you leave it at. We'll try to get it back up to 8 pounds now. There we go. That's that's about 8 pounds. So for some reason it does not maintain the pressure we want. That's not good. Okay, I'll leave it there now. I'll do the release thing. See where it comes back up to. Just above 8 pounds. Okay, I'm going to leave it there till tomorrow. At just above 8 pounds. Curious why it does not maintain the pressure like it should. I wanted to carbonate this beer and crank it up to 30 pounds, but if I can't even maintain 8 pounds, why am I using this gauge? We'll see what happens tomorrow morning. So it's the next day. It dropped a little bit on pressure. Anyway, I'm going to crank this up to about 30 pounds and go from there and just leave it. Give it up to 30 pounds and then leave it until tomorrow. I'll check on it here in a little while, and then I'll check on it again when I come home tonight. But it says 30 pounds there. Maybe a little high. We'll back her off a little bit. We'll see where that stabilizes at. Check on it here in just a couple minutes. So I have this dial all figured out. It's staying right at about 30 pounds now. Little learning curve there. There are no leaks. I still have the same amount of pressure in there, so everything is good. I'm going to back it down now and put it at about 15 pounds, 14 pounds to finish carbonating the beer, and we'll test it out in a day or two. So what I'm going to do, I'll shut this off. Okay, that's all the way over. See, that doesn't release from the keg, so that's where I screwed up on trying to dial in the pressure. So we're going to back this off now. Turn that down. See, this won't do it correctly. See, there's no pressure there, but there's still pressure in the keg. So we need to blow the pressure off the keg. Okay, then turn the check valve on. Lefty loosey, whoops. Need to be careful. Okay, then turn this up to our desired pressure, about 14 or 15. Back that down just a hair, and then set this screw. Make sure it's all correct. We'll blow the pressure out of the keg. Staying rock steady now. Once I get smarter than the gauge, once I get smarter than the gauge and the regulator, we get this all figured out now. I'm gonna leave that and check on it tonight. So I just got home from work. We're gonna try a sample of beer today. Had it at 30 pounds for one day. Dialed it back to about 16 pounds for another day. That should bring us right around to, I'm thinking, with the temperature of this, my beer, probably get around 3 volumes of CO2. I don't know if it'll be ready yet. See, we got it at, it's at about 16, maybe just a hair above 16. We'll try to dial this back. Now that I know how to do it, release the pressure on the keg itself, and not just this valve here. The little valve is going to release the pressure out of the hose, but not the keg. The keg has a one-way valve on it. So anyway, get this down to serving pressure. It's about there now. It's at 8. We wanted a little less than 8. Release the pressure there. See what that gets us.
It's a little under 8 right now. Seems to be holding. We'll give that a try. So this is my transgressor. This is the Red X and Red X malt and Sterling hops. Only smash beer. We'll give this a try. I'll just make sure. We are at serving pressure. Here we go. It's got some carbonation. Oh yeah. That works pretty good. It's not the clearest beer I've ever had, but I didn't add any gelatin to it. Oh yeah, that's good. So we're just gonna leave the MRbrew sitting here at about that serving pressure at about 7 pounds, and go from there. We'll just make sure it holds the pressure the whole time, and see how I like it. So the regulator's had steady pressure on it now for 2 weeks. Been serving me beer. Anyway, it's been working good. It hasn't moved from right there, that pressure setting. So yeah, I like it. Pouring a nice glass every time. So yeah, there you go, the MRbrew CO2 regulator. Worked for what I used it for, and that was just a light pressure transfer, then a higher pressure. It was like 30 pounds for a day, and then I dialed it back down to 16 pounds, and dialed it back down to serving pressure on this beer I got going on here. Anyway, works good. Once I figured out that you cannot use that when you're adjusting the pressure on for the keg, when it's hooked up to the keg, instead of just releasing this like I did for the transfer, the pressure transfer, just release the pressure from the keg, or it's gonna show weird readings on here. It's not gonna stay steady, and you wonder what's going on. So that's all that was. So anyway, the box that came in. Now there were no instructions at all with the MRbrew regulator. It was just a box and a regulator. No instructions, but got it figured out. Anyway, on this box, it's got the little MRbrew logo. You know what would be nice would be to have that little sticker inside of the box, where I could take that sticker and put it on my beer fridge. But anyway, so it says, partially lost or broken, quality problem, don't know how to use. If you are not happy for any reason, just click Ask Seller on your order page, or email SANOVEEN at SINA.com. It's hard to read, so I think that's what it said. And you'll receive and will resolve your issue fast. We spare you the hassle of dealing with Amazon returns by offering you a solution without returning anything. So anyway, if it had instructions, I probably would have figured it out a little quicker, but that works. It was like 50 bucks, about the same price. It actually was a couple bucks more than the other regulator I bought, but the other regulator I bought did not have this the check valve on it. It's like a this is a check valve, and it's on and off. My other one, I had to buy a check valve, and it's got just a little on-off valve, you know, just a little handle you turn on it. So I like this one a little better. You can adjust it nicely. I like on this one also, I don't know if you can see that, but it's got a it's got this. So get that loosened up, and then what you do is adjust the pressure for where you want it. Then on the back here, spin this. That'll lock it in place, and it also has a little nut here. looks like a hex head. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a little hex head. You can tighten that down with a little Allen wrench, whatever, and get that set. It's not going to adjust it, and it's just going to stay right there. So you can lock in your pressure at what you want. It's got the nice features and the release valve on the side. Yeah, I like it. It goes up to 3,000 pounds of pressure. So yeah, it's more than what I would need. I have a that little 1.5 pound tank and a what is it, a 10 pound CO2 tank. So yeah, the MRbrew works for me. So yeah, the MRbrew CO2 regulator, for the price, I like it. It works. It does exactly what I need it to. It also will fit inside of my Poncho's keg cooler in that little bottle. That's why I have it. This regulator is the same size as the regulator I bought from Poncho. It was the cheaper one without the check valve and stuff. But this one will also fit inside there, so that's what I'm going to use next time I go on vacation. I like it. The price is right. It works well. It does exactly what I need. Like I said earlier, the little screen in there, that's a nice feature to have also. So yeah, I found MRbrew was on, I think it was Amazon.com somewhere. I don't know if he has a regular website except for this email address I see here. But yeah, check it out, MRbrew. If you see his products, I recommend at least the regulator. So anyhow, remember, brew what you like what you brew. I'll see you next time inside Homebrewing.